If you don't know how to overcome objections effectively, you're losing a lot of sales. Today, we're going to be going over a proven framework to overcome literally any objection out there. In fact, this is the same framework that I picked up after nearly a decade of virtual high ticket sales, where I closed over $20 million worth of deals. So if you're struggling with objections such as, let me think about it, I need more time, or let me talk to my partner, this video is for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so to start off, let's talk a little bit about the mindset. Mindset's important when we're thinking about objections. Now, even the word objection is already framing it wrong. What is an objection? Well, it's a question, it's a concern, it's an unresolved issue which you haven't effectively addressed most of the time. So what an objection is well, I should say what it is not. It's not a fight. It is not, you know, they say this, you say that, this battle. Right? That's not what it is at all. It's about you and the client working together to find a solution and see if your product can help solve their solution. And if it legitimately can't, that's fine, then it wouldn't be the right move to move forward. But most of the time you'll find out that it's simply because you haven't explained something, or they don't see the value, or they don't believe that the product actually is going to do what you say it's going to do. Hey guys, real quick before we go back to the video, if you do want to learn how to optimize your sales process, smash your quotas, and all other awesome sales related content like this, please subscribe down below. Thank you. Okay, so now that we got the mindset established, let's go into actually how we're going to solve some of these objections or overcome. So let's say you get one of these questions of, okay, now's not the good time. Now's not a good time for this. Now's not a good time to move forward. The first thing I'd want to do is make sure that you're really understanding the question. Understand why is it not a good time. So if they say, yeah, well, now it's just not a good time, I'd be like, okay, got it. So is now not a good time just because we have a holiday coming up? Because let's say, it's because of the 4th of July holiday or Christmas. Then they might say, well, no, actually it's because my kid just went to school or something like this, right? Okay, now you have more data. But a lot of the times they'll be like, okay, well, no, now's not a good time because we don't have our budget yet, or we just paid for this other product and I'm a little tight on cash right now. So now is not a good time didn't actually mean the time, it actually meant the money, right? Which is what it typically comes down to. It typically comes down to the money and the value. But what you want to try and do is ask a couple clarifying questions and get really clear. So one, you're clear, because there have been so many times to where I thought I knew what their problem was, but it actually came out later that it was something completely different. Had I asked more clarifying questions, I would have understood better. Many times they don't even know why. I mean, it helps for the client to actually take some time and think about it and really verbalize why they feel it's not a good time. And it also gives you a little bit of time to think as well, because sometimes when you're on these calls, or sometimes if it's in person, they say these things now is not a good time. You don't really have any time to think. So if you just stop and ask a couple questions, that's going to give them time to think, and even more importantly, perhaps give you some time to think. So ask a question or two, get really clear on exactly what part or why they're saying that objection. And now that we're really clear on the reason that they have an objection, let us go to the next step. Let us start to respond. First thing I like to do is empathize with their feelings a little bit. Even if what they're saying is nonsense, it's completely wrong logically, that doesn't mean that their feelings are wrong. And you can't argue with someone's feelings. The way they feel is the way they feel. And the fact is that if you were in that person's shoes and you had the same information, the same knowledge, the same everything, you might feel similar as well. And so you got to establish some common ground, and also establish that you're not their enemy. It's not you and them fighting, right? It is you and them together trying to work out this problem and see if you can come to a solution. That is the goal. So I usually will just whatever they say, I will try and find something and agree with the emotional part about it. Don't agree with the logical part about it. The price is too, if they say the price is too high, I would not say you're absolutely right, the price is too high. But don't say that, right? But I would say something like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree. This is a big decision, and if I were you, I would really want to make sure that I understand every single part of this before moving forward. Or yeah, I totally get it. I absolutely understand why you might want a little bit more time to think it over, right? Because it's true. If it's a big decision, maybe they do need more time to think it over. Okay. But now I'm going to move on to the next part as well. Um, but let me ask you this question: if you get these sort of smoke screen things, I need to think about it. I need more time. Particularly, let's talk about. I need to think about it. Do you think the client is just going to hang up the phone, or if on the car lot or whatever, go back, go home, or go to their car and sit there and just think about it? Like, okay, I said I need to think about it. Let's just think about it. No, of course not. They're not going to sit there and think about it. The time to think about it is right there with you when you're on the phone because you're the expert. So, what does that leave you with? Well, what I would suggest doing next are more questions. Ask them a couple questions, or start with one question to try and open them up a little bit more. So let's say they said, "Hey, I want to think about it." I would say, as I said before, yeah, I totally get it. I might see why. Yeah, you might want a little more time to think about it. That makes a lot of sense. But just out of curiosity, is there any part in particular that you're unsure about? Or maybe they say the classic, I need to talk to my partner, I need to talk to my wife or business partner. Same thing. Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It makes sense that you'd want to make sure you had enough time to think about this. Is there any part of the process in particular that you're looking to talk with your partner with, or what part exactly? Which part in particular were you planning on talking to your partner with? And zip the lip and listen and ask a couple questions. Don't just ask one, but usually if you have good rapport and you say it with care and you're being genuine, they'll say something. Well, it's this part. Well, it's this. So, it's the price. Well, it's this thing. It's this thing. It's usually the price. It's usually the price. Let's be honest. The price, or they don't actually think the product is going to do what you say it's going to do. It's going to be as effective as you say. It's typically two things, like prove it to me. And how do you prove it? Testimonials, third parties, right? Or the price, essentially, which is the value. You haven't shown the value effectively. It's usually what it is. Okay. So ask a couple questions, and have them speak, have them verbalize what the feelings are, and then the last step for you is you want to start to try and break some of those beliefs using third parties. Using third parties. These are the key words here. Why do you use third parties? Okay. Because it never should be your opinion, you as a salesperson, because you're the salesperson that wants to sell them something who's financially obligated to make them move forward, right? So, of course, you're going to have this high opinion of the product. But what is undeniable are third parties' opinion of the product. So what I typically would like to do is be like, yeah, well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. This actually reminds me of my client Chris, or my this business blah blah blah, if you can say that, who I worked with a few months ago. They actually had really similar concerns. They were a small business and were tight on cash, and they did this. They invested. They did put X amount in the marketing. They did this. They did that, and this is what happened to them. Right? They saw their sales increase 3 times. They saw their calls increase, whatever, right? And so that is how I would basically break the beliefs, by putting it on a third party, someone you know who has a positive experience, who is in a similar situation. And that is really, really powerful. And even better is if you can prove it as well. Sometimes if that's not enough, which many times it won't be, what you then typically want to do is then send them the proof, send them the video testimonials, send them the reviews, send them something so you actually can back up what you're saying. And that is so much more powerful than anything you could possibly say. So guys, I hope that was really helpful. Follow these steps and you will be able to overcome literally any objection they throw at you. And if you have any questions at all, please drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. So thank you.